Hi, Alan.
Hi, Stephen.
Uh, you're here at the Silva class today, right? This SLS course.
That's right.
And we were talking about some of your successes. And I was wondering if you'd like to share some of those successes with some of the other students.
Sure, I'd love to. I've been doing Silva method for maybe 15 to 20 years. And I started when I found this little blue book after talking to my wife. And I read the book, and it was quite interesting. So I didn't have any formal training, but the methods that worked for me, they kept on working. And it took me a long time before getting in front of a class, but when I did, it just reinforced things that I already knew.
Okay.
So I'd be happy to give you some examples, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Super. You said you had a success with weather. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, very often I'll be driving, and as a traveling salesman earlier on, I used to get into all kinds of weather conditions. So one that really bothered me was fog. And I knew that I could go into Alpha and just talk to the weather conditions and visualize myself driving through a road with the fog lifting so I could have clear visibility. And also always to respect nature, I'd allow it to go back after me. So not for the driver behind me, but really for just to allow nature to do its own thing. So I would say, as I'm getting to you about half an hour or half a mile before, please rise so I can have clear view, and then when you want, go back down to where you want to be. And worked really well for me many times when I was driving in rain or fog. I could just visualize the rain separating on both sides of the road. It could rain on both sides and then come back together. And so two methods that worked really well was for both rain and fog.
And you use the mirror of the mind technique for this, or a derivative of it?
I would sit down 5 minutes, calm my mind, and then just say, I am connected with the weather.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it was a mirror of the mind at the time. It was just how to visualize that and just allow it to be.
Okay. And you said you had a great success with a horse and helping to heal a horse. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, after a while, I had a reputation of being a healer. I never asked for the reputation, but people knew that I was working on animals, horses, and I was talking about some of my successes. So one day I have this lady who calls me up, and she says she has a horse, and because of the flies, it went into trees and actually poked its eye. So the problem at the time was, if the eye did not heal, the vet was contemplating removing the eye completely. And so what I did is I went into level. I went into my alpha state, and what I did is I closed my eyes and I started thinking, how do I heal this situation? And what came to me was, the eye is like a sack. It's like a big bag, and all I wanted to do was seal the bag. So I thought of the bag as being a Ziploc bag, and there was, if it's not sealed, water will seep out of it. So I just visualized myself sealing the bag, making sure it was a nice clean seal, and then I saw myself inside the horse's head and looking out through the horse's eye, and I could see a line there right through the eye. So what I did is I took a very fine razor blade, I cleaned up the extra plastic, and then I looked again, and it felt pretty good, and my session was over with the horse. But the beautiful part is that next day when I got a call saying that the vet had come over, the eye had sealed, and he didn't see any need to go any further, and the horse has been fine since then, from what I know.
That's an amazing story, and I really enjoy how you use the Ziploc bag. That's a great way of solving the situation.
What I learned is that the more ridiculous the visualization is, the more it works. Like, you don't have to be a surgeon for this. Just use the tools that you have. In the laboratory, as I was telling you before, I use the WD-40 for people who have stiffness, like someone can't move their arm. You just visualize putting WD-40, you massage the muscles, you pull it through, you release the tension, and that works awesome as well.
That's wonderful. You had a great success with the tumor. Can you tell us about that? Because it was quite novel the way you handled that one.
Yeah, it happened about 22 years ago. I met this guru type person from California who one day during a picnic was showing us how to blow clouds out of the sky with our minds. We pick a cloud, and what we do is first imagine a small hole in the middle of the cloud being created, and then the cloud just dissipating. So what happened is that, you know what, I used to have fun with that on a nice summer day when there's big puffy clouds, choose one, make it disappear. And then one day a friend of mine calls me up and she tells me that her sister, they found a big spot on an x-ray. They thought it was a tumor, and they were going to go in 2 weeks later and explore to see the extent of it. So as I closed my eyes, I thought of that x-ray as being very similar to a cloud. I could just see, you know, the shape of a lung. There was black and stuff, and I just did basically the same thing as I did out in the field. I just imagined this cloud disappearing, and the little black spot that was there, I took an eraser, I imagined erasing it, and after a while it was gone. So that was the end of my session with her. But the outcome was 3 weeks later after the operation, I get the call saying that when they went to look at the cloud, they could not find the spot on the x-ray. So the doctor thought it might have been just dirt, but went in anyways and couldn't find anything either in the lung. So we just call it coincidence, but
but we know better, right?
maybe. I still don't know, but I like to take a bit of credit for visualizing it.
What's important is that she's better and there was nothing that had to be done.
That's right. I never met the lady. I didn't know what she looked like. I just connected through a name, a city, and knowing Kathy, and it was her sister.
Okay, perfect. And you had another success with your son in his studies. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, my son was 5-6 years old, and I get a call from his mother telling me that Scott really wasn't doing very well in math. He was just, for some reason, failing really badly, that he was always daydreaming and so on. So what I did is just before going to sleep, I had heard of another method where you open up a person's head and put stuff inside or take things out. So I thought, you know what, if he can't focus on his math, it's because he's got a lot of junk inside his head. So I just visualized myself holding him by his feet after unzipping his head, and all the nuts and bolts and cobwebs and all kinds of crap was falling out of there. So I kept on shaking it out until I felt it was clean. And I thought, okay, now he's got no junk in his head, but how's he going to learn the math? So my idea came to me as the sponge of knowledge. I took a big sponge, and I also took well, let's start with a sponge. First I put a sponge, and I said, this is going to be the sponge of knowledge, and anytime he's in school, he will absorb the information. But then I thought, you know, there's so much information, how do I keep it fresh? So I gave him a refill certificate, unlimited refills, so that any time that he needed more, he could just put it in. And within a couple weeks, his grades were straight A's, and he was doing really well in class. And he actually eventually went on to get a scholarship at that university, full scholarship, and very proud of his accomplishment. Of course, it was all for him, and maybe just luck again.
Wow, but then that, you know, with at the prices of university degrees now, I mean, that's a fantastic gift that he has, and that's a great coincidence if that's what it is.
Yes, absolutely.
Allan, thank you very much for sharing your stories and giving inspiration to other Silva graduates.
Thank you, Steve.
Have a good day.
You too.